So this feels a little bit weird, but I'm going to do a little video diary. I am day, oh God, I'm 2 weeks into my liver reduction diet, so day 14. And I'm due to have a bypass on the 16th of April. So today is April Fool's, but it is after midday. So me videoing myself to may or may not put on the internet is not the April Fool's. So yeah, I was actually advised by my mum and sort of inspired by my friend who did YouTube videos throughout her sort of weight loss journey, and sort of updates after everything to just sort of see really, and record sort of how I'm feeling really. Just a bit of background really. I've been overweight since I was 9, 10, pre-puberty, but I wasn't always like a big kid. In 2018, I was diagnosed with idiopathic intracranial hypertension, which is a disorder where your the pressure in your brain gets too high and they don't necessarily know what causes it. However, over the years since I've been diagnosed, research has found that it's not just weight related condition, but it's sort of an endocrine, like metabolic disorder, and that weight loss surgery sort of is the main cure. So I was referred by the specialists for the IIH to have weight loss surgery. I have gained and lost the same, max maybe 2.5 stone over the years. My lowest was pre-uni, and I started uni at 19. So like my lowest, I haven't been a certain weight for years really. And then I lost quite a bit when I was ill. I was doing what was essentially keto, but it was the Harcum diet, but I never did. It was a really complex diet of not necessarily mixing carbs and fats. So, but I essentially only did the like meat side of the diet. So I was like having one meal a day, not doing anything, and that's sort of when I lost the majority of my weight when I was ill. And then COVID happened, but again that was only 2-3 stone that I'd lost. And then obviously COVID came back, and at first it was cooking. Cooking was the one thing that I could do at that time. I was also still working in healthcare at that point. Cocktails, we got into a lot of cocktail making during lockdowns. And then, it just crept back on. I've worked with an online coach. I've been really into the gym. I've done Slim Fast, Weight Watchers, various different diets, from my teen years really. So to go into the weight loss service was, I had a lovely dietitian, but he was very much of the viewpoint of what you're doing. So I sort of wasn't given in any injections or any special diets. I was just sort of advised to keep doing what I was doing, and I maintained and lost a little bit over that time. But I will be honest, I sort of really struggle to stick to diets. I know what to do. I can keep up with it for a bit, and then I'm very much of the viewpoint, unfortunately, that life is more important. But I've begun to realise that all of my socialising, all my celebration, even stuff that I do with my partner is not weight related, food related. Going out drinking, we go to new cities and we see what food is there, and we're not even necessarily overeating, but it's the sheer amount. And we're not the most active people. We're not going for hikes. We'll walk the dog. We'll get a lot of steps in when we're wandering around places, but realistically we're not seeing a lot. So you know, this is discussions that we've had, and, you know, we're trying to find new things. We're going to do a little weekend in the city, which isn't going to be around food next weekend, just because, you know, the weather's still not great. But, you know, I've said, look, you know, I want us to make sure that we're going to new places for walks and everything, and just trying to establish those patterns, really. So yeah, I'm 2 weeks into the liver reduction diet. I am down 6 kilograms, which has slowed down a little bit, and I'm a little bit disappointed with that. But I suppose I should put my stats in as well. So I am 5'8". My highest weight that I've got is 118 kilograms, which I've peaked up to a little bit on a time. And then, like I said, my lowest adult weight that I've got is 98 kilograms. So actually, I haven't got far to go until I'm at my lowest adult weight. You know, my weight shot up during puberty, and, you know, I was a very tall, skinny, blonde child, which is hard to sort of think looking at me now. But, you know, as everyone else grew up, I grew out, you know, when I was younger, and have sort of steadily gained since, despite, you know, diets from childhood, really. So I'm currently 110 kilograms from the liver reduction diet. I was a little bit higher than when my surgery was approved, because I'd been on an all-inclusive holiday to Mexico. It was my birthday, and I just was sort of making the most of meals out while I could. I didn't necessarily want to say they were food funerals, but definitely sort of trying to get in what I could. You know, there was definitely the urge to binge at times, and I started the liver reduction diet a little bit early, just because I, you know, was having mimosas for breakfast, you know, tequila at fucking 10, 11 o'clock, because they do not like it when you say no to tequila in Mexico. And, you know, sort of lots of going out. So I just sort of wanted to give it the best shot, really. You know, my liver definitely has been through it the last couple of months. So, but the last day before my official start of the liver reduction diet, I had so many cravings, and it wasn't even necessarily for specific food. It was just quantity. Although with it being Easter, I was very much like, go and buy an Easter egg, eat it today. Like, you're not going to be able to now. But I've got to remind myself, this overeating has impacted my health massively, you know, and although I'm doing quite well considering how bad I was, it's definitely difficult, you know, to forget that sometimes. And also you know, I'm not never going to be able to have these foods again. The quantities are just going to be much smaller. And I think, you know, it's not the foods themselves that have been the issue. It's been my lifestyle and my overconsumption. And definitely when I was younger and when I've been through certain difficult times, you know, food was my reliance. You know, I think back to a really difficult time when I was at uni. My mum had cancer. I'd drifted apart from a lot of people that I was friends with, and I was literally working, doing placement in a little studio flat on my own, and, you know, my habits were awful. I wouldn't eat all day. I'd then get a takeaway, and this was sort of back when takeaways weren't that expensive, so, you know, to order the amount for a delivery for one you know, you didn't get enough for one person. You know, it was enough for 2 or 3 to get it delivered, and then I'd have half a bottle of wine, and that was like every night. Like, it wasn't healthy. And then, you know, there have been times when I have been more disordered in my eating, you know, sort of eating in secret, you know, and it's still a habit that I find easy to fall into at the moment, is that I will not eat proper meals and, you know, just end up having sweet stuff and snacks. So that's not necessarily, you know, and these are things that I've worked very hard on through the tier 3, but also prior to that with a coach that I had. And although I didn't necessarily lose a lot of weight, I did pick up a lot of good habits, and it definitely helped me really stick to the gym. You know, I've been to the gym on and off for 10, 11 years. Started when I was at uni, and but never really did anything productive, was never consistent, would sort of overdo it and then not do any sort of stuff really. So that's a bit of the background really. So for the liver reduction diet, I've mixed it up a little bit. I haven't done just the milk option because I genuinely don't think my stomach could take that. But I have done shakes, I've done 2 yogurt days, and I've also done a food day. I'll be honest, I think I'm going to stick in a couple of food days because despite the measuring, it's actually quite a good amount of food. Obviously, you know, and I think the portions aren't massively far off what I'd have if I was cooking a normal meal, minus, you know, sort of things like if you were having garlic bread. It's my issue always has been the snacks, you know, chocolate is a massive one. So I have gone off work for the liver reduction diet because my stomach has been quite bad. I've had headaches, and the worst thing I think has been the lightheadedness and the dizziness. And with the IIH, that's you know, my main symptoms, despite obviously having issues with my eyesight in the beginning, which thankfully is now in remission, you know, was the dizziness and the headaches. I still get migraines, but the main issue was sort of the dizziness, the lightheadedness. You know, it stopped me doing some of the things that I used to really enjoy, like yoga. I used to enjoy theme parks, haven't been since, so mostly because I don't want to ruin it if I'm just going with 1 or 2 people and you end up on your own all day. So I'm sort of, that's been a plan for if and when I can go with someone who is a bit more open to doing other things as well as the rides. So you know, if you're going with a group with the lads, you know, like my partner and the lads who want to go, it's sort of no one's going to want to stick to the sort of smaller rides or anything like that if I do have issues. So, you know, the dizziness and the headaches is a little bit of a throwback to when I was at my most unwell, which hasn't been nice. And like I said, I work in healthcare. It's been really stressful. I also have had a couple of other health scares at the moment, which, although are very unlikely to come up anything negative, could potentially impact my surgery. So it's been a lot on my mind. And my patience for it with 0 calories, well, I say 0, you know, it works out about 800 max calories that you end up having. And that's with the shakes. So, you know, on the other options like the yogurt or the food, I think I've been clocking 600 to 700 calories. The shakes have been more, especially when I've had some of the powdered shakes, which are surprisingly high in sugar and carbs, really, for the liver reduction being, you know, low carb to use at the glycogen stores. But I am proud of myself. You know, there's not been any cheating. I've been really considerate of it. I am still trying to keep up some sort of activity, although so pre-starting the liver reduction diet, I was doing more of sort of just try and hit the highest numbers that I could when it came to weightlifting, because prior to surgery approval, I was doing a lot of cardio. But I think realistically now it's just, if I get out for a walk that's more than 15 minutes, that's, you know, a bonus, because I am lightheaded, I am dizzy, and I'm knackered, and my patience is non-existent, really. But I just sort of wanted to remind myself really why I was doing this. Working in healthcare, I see a lot of people who have been very ill for a very long time. Not to say that is always factors within their control, but, you know, I don't want to be in that position. You know, my family history when it comes to health stuff isn't great. that's not what I want. You know, I want to be as fit and healthy and active for as long as possible. You know, not having to worry so much about clothing sizes would be great as well. But, you know, my biggest reason is for how I feel. You know, I do 13-hour shifts with a long drive. So, like, as much as I say it like I'm tired, I manage that. But, you know, I don't want to be exhausted. I don't want to be tired. I don't want to feel too big for aeroplane seats. I don't want to feel, you know, my partner, he's not a massive bloke, but he's broad, you know, he's muscular, and, you know, when we're both in sort of, you know, like a bus seat, for example, it feels constricted. You know, it's not that I don't deserve to take up that space, but I feel uncomfortable sometimes, apart from, you know, the illness side of it, and I don't want to make things worse. I think that's the biggest thing here, really. And I know it's going to be a difficult few weeks, one leading up to the surgery, two post-surgery, you know, in those coming weeks, and then adjusting to a new life, really. I don't have loads planned post-surgery. My first thing is Download Festival in June, and like I said, my surgery date is 16th of April, so I will have only just started coming back onto solid foods at that point. So it is, it's going to be an interesting one. And then sort of my next biggest event, apart from, you know, a few festivals and things like that, will be a hen do in October. So that gives me the 6 months roughly to sort of not have alcohol, get back to it, really. But yeah, I might make some more video updates. We'll see. I know people who have done it have found it beneficial to go out back on it. And also, you know, it might well be that I do post these and things might be helpful to someone else. But yeah, it's more just sort of for a reminder for myself, really, because I know it's going to be difficult, and I need to remember why I'm doing this. And that is because I want to be fit, I want to be healthy, I want to live a life of wellness and not just be stuck because I didn't help myself by eating too much, drinking too much, and not prioritizing me and my health. Because yes, life is too short to always be on a diet, but I will only make my life more difficult and shorter if I don't do something about it. So, you know, this has been years and years in the making. Just as well as, if anyone is interested, I did, like I said, was referred through my specialist consultant for IIH in, it must have been 2021, 2020. Essentially, I'd not seen them post-diagnosis for a little bit. They brought me in middle of pandemic, like full lockdown, because people's eyesight, you know, were suffering, not having that regular contact and support. And then I think a couple of sessions after that, they'd said, are you under the weight loss service? And they were like, oh, you should have been referred when you were first diagnosed. Was referred in. It was about 12 months waiting to see the dietitians, maybe a little bit less. And then I was 6 months with the dietitians. Maybe I was referred in end of 2021 then, for the dietitians. And then it's been about, I'm going to say it was last summer I was approved for surgery, or at least went through to tier 4, and then saw the surgeon January. Been delayed a little bit because of the holiday. And then obviously surgery date 16th of April. They have, so I need to get signed off for the liver reduction diet by my GP. And then because my work does involve some sort of manual handling with patients, they have said 4 to 6 weeks off post-surgery before I'm back into work. So yeah, I've got a bit of time really, and I'm going to leave this here because this is 20 minutes, but